Hey there, I'm Lisa Campion, and this is the Miracle of Healing on Empower Radio, where we gather together to discuss all kinds of healing. And this is something the world needs a lot these days, now more than ever. And welcome, everybody. I'm so glad that you're here with us today. Are you ready to rise up? Maybe it's truly possible to profoundly shift your state of consciousness in just 10 days. Our guest today, Suzanne Ross, has found a way to accelerate our ability to wake up and rise up to a new way of being at a much higher frequency. And I'm so thrilled to talk with her as she's just found this incredible, innovative multimedia process that includes meditations, exercises, and daily practices that are all designed to sort of help us let go of our 3D dimensional or third dimensional baggage and jump into the more blissful and joyful state of consciousness that some people call the fifth dimension. So Suzanne is an amazing person. I feel lucky to have her on the show today. She's just dedicated her life to bringing higher teachings of divine enlightenment to humanity through inspirational books, group workshops, live events, energetic sessions, and an internet TV series. Wow. So her newest book, which is the second book out of a trilogy, Rise Up, offers us some of the powerful tools that she's going to be talking with us today. So glad you're here, Suzanne. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Lisa. I'm so delighted to be on your show today. Thank you so much for having me. That was a brilliant introduction. Awesome job.
Cool.
Thank you for the praise.
Thank you. Well, it's such a cool topic. I love this topic, and I'm wondering just if we could sort of start with defining a few things. So you're working in the realm of Ascension, fifth dimensional consciousness. It's an interest of mine, so I know some things about it, but maybe some of our listeners don't know what we're talking about when we use that language. And I'm wondering if we could start there, if you have some kind of way you can explain what that means.
Yes, and so what I like to do is just to start out with a really simple explanation of ascension, just being an ascension of your spirit, an upliftment, rising above the mundane reality of the 3D world of 9 to 5 responsibilities and stepping outside of that and dedicating yourself to some spiritual practices that will give you a higher perspective on maybe a higher perception, maybe a greater way of living and being in the world in a transcended state of awareness. And so I like to use the word rise up because that's what ascension to me feels like is, taking the time to take long walks out in nature and be very present, tuning in to the natural living things and beings and sort of recognizing that the life force that animates them is the same life force animating you, and you start to develop this kind of profound sense of oneness, and it elevates you. It elevates your consciousness. And so it's like taking a break from your 3D life, right? And stepping out into nature, sort of experiencing the creation from a higher perspective and developing that sense of oneness. Also, going out into the world each and every day and just shining your brilliant light of love as brightly as you can on the world around you, on others around you, in every interaction, just rising up, taking the high road and just being that loving, compassionate, kind, patient, understanding person, regardless of circumstances. And so that's kind of about balancing ego and spirit. And so I address both of these things in my book, Wake Up. I talk about ways of balancing your ego and spirit so that you can rise above your ego and be in your spiritual heart when you're out in the world. And then also, of course, like spiritual practices you can engage in. Rise Up takes it to a whole nother level of metaphysics and creator consciousness. And this involves like an adventure where you're really connecting into creation.
Wow, thank you. That was a great explanation, and I think it's sometimes a little hard for people to get their head around these concepts when they're first new to them. And I was so fascinated by your story about how you came into your awakening, into your waking up and rising up. And I'm wondering if you could share a little bit. It's a kind of an extraordinary story. What happened to you that woke you up?
So I was living on the East Coast, working in the corporate world, very busy executive, traveling, attending a lot of out of town conferences, also working at the corporate office in my little jail cell, which I felt like was my office. And I felt like completely misaligned. And I felt displaced on the East Coast, having grown up on the beaches of Southern California. I found it challenging to resonate with that energy on
I
the
know
East
the
Coast.
ocean's on the wrong side. I mean, I'm an East Coaster myself, so I grew up here. But when I go to Cali, I'm like, the ocean's on the wrong side. I can't understand it. Like, I know what you mean.
Yes, it's just like the intensity, right? Of like the work ethic and
Yeah, it's a grind
everything
over
just
here. It's a grind.
right. And then the
Yeah.
weather was really challenging because I was used to like sunny days every day and snow and blizzards and ice and it was really challenging and my hair was falling out in clumps and I had eczema all over my skin. A lot of this had to do with the mean-spirited politics of the corporate world, and it was just eating me alive. And so combined with being misaligned and displaced, I was having anxiety attacks and many physical ailments. And I just knew that what I was doing with my life was killing me. And that if I didn't do something different, that would be my fate. Also, I felt that my life lacked meaning and purpose. I
Mhm.
wasn't seeing the meaningfulness in getting up, fighting brutal traffic, going to work, fighting brutal politics, working for the corporation, getting back on the road, fighting traffic, coming home, eating, going to bed, getting up, doing it over and over and over and over again. I thought it just lacked meaning. And I knew that that isn't what I signed up for. And so I actually thought to myself one morning, if this is all there is to life, I'm out of here. And then my parents called from the desert of Southern California, invited me to come out to their new vacation home in the desert. I knew that's exactly what I needed. It was December, and there were nor'easters on the East Coast.
Were
And
you in
I
Boston?
wanted
It sounds like my average winter here.
it's just the shocking difference to a Southern California
Yeah.
person, right? I'm sure if you're used to it, it's nothing, but
No,
it's a
actually, we don't like it either. Really, nobody does.
like I remember going out in the morning and being like, "Where is my car? Oh my God, it's that white lump!" And then that's how I had to start my day, right?
Yeah.
Freezing cold,
Yep.
like trying
You
to
were.
pull the ice and snow off my car.
I
I
know.
didn't know how
I
to
know.
drive in the snow. Anyways, so I went out to the desert of Southern California to visit my folks. And as we drove into this desert valley and the palm trees are swaying in the wind and bright blue skies, sun shining, I felt like I'd come home. And while I was there, we enjoyed fun in the sun and laughter. And I just loved spending the time with my family, hiking and dancing and singing. Like we were just having the time of our lives. And then it was coming to an end. And I felt this overwhelming sense of impending doom. I was going to have to return to my life in hell. And so one morning I woke up just feeling compelled to run to this mountain range behind their house. So I took off out the front door and I started running toward the mountains. And I just had tears streaming down my face. I thought if I just keep running, I could run away from my fate. And I felt drawn to run up the side of this mountain. It's like I didn't even notice the burning in my lungs or the pain in my legs. I got to the top. I threw my arms up to the sky and I said, I am miserable in the extreme and I see no way out. And in that moment, I felt the air around me embracing me. And I heard a voice resonate within me and all around me. And it said, can't you see you've come home? You'll stay here and heal yourself and many others. And
Wow.
in that moment, I knew that was the absolute truth for me. The anxiety The depression melted away and it was replaced by my excitement and enthusiasm over my new life in the desert as a healer. And then over the course of the next 2 weeks, I just followed the energy as it directed me to go to the nearest 5-star resort that morning and apply for a job in health and wellness. And they hired me on the spot without even any fitness qualifications. And as I walked out in the parking lot, I was like, oh, this is surreal. Like, I just accepted a job. I'm going to start in 2 weeks. Like, I have a husband and a career and I live on the East Coast, but I did it. In 2 weeks, I started at the resort. I left my husband. I left my job. I moved to the desert. I became a healer in the desert, and I opened a wellness center, and it just started getting bigger and bigger as I had more and more clients, teaching classes and being the health director at the 5-star resort. And I've never looked back. I stayed there and healed myself and many others, just like the voice said I would.
That's incredible. I love that story. Thanks for sharing it. It was beautiful. And funny too. Like in your book, Rise Up Awakening Through Revelation, 10 Days to the Ascension Path, there's a process that let's see it. Thank you. It's beautiful. There's a process that you can take people through in as short as 10 days. Is that to make the jump into another level? How does that work?
And so I really recommend people start with my book, Wake Up, because Spirit guided me to write this Up trilogy. And Spirit said, you need to write a book for the mind first, liberating the mind from limiting beliefs, sort of dealing with your life in the here and now. I created a cause and effect analysis that people could apply their most transformational experiences to. And in doing so, the life lessons they came here to learn would be revealed. I have like practical spirituality, balancing ego and spirit. And so once people were able to liberate their mind from the limiting beliefs that keep them trapped in the 3D matrix, then they're ready to rise up and take the ascension journey. And I just wanted to preface it with that, because Rise Up is a little bit more advanced, and maybe there's plenty of people who are ready just to dive right in to the metaphysics about how creation came into being and developing creator consciousness on this ascension journey. But when I woke up on my path, Lisa, one of the first things I did was I looked at my hands and I was like, who am I? What am I made of? Like, what is this reality? Right? Like, who are we? Where do we come from? Why are we here? Where are we going? I mean, I was just like, I had to know. And I had this insatiable curiosity about all of it. And so I dove in to read everything I get my hands on. I started Buddhist meditation, deep trance meditation, where I started to like astral travel and channel, automatic writing. And I mean, things just took off in all directions after I woke up on my path. And as I started to do automatic writing and channeling, the content for my books came through. And for Rise Up, I wanted to start with how creation came into being, because it's empowering to know that,
very cool.
You know, we're divine and we're from the divine source that created all that is. And we're integral.
It seems like it's a lot of really high level metaphysics that you're going into in that book.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's how it starts. I make it easy though, because it's like all full color illustrations. There's over 100 full color illustrations. So it's like really easy to follow. You know, I talk about all the patterns of sacred geometry, you know, that creation came in through. And so there's also meditation and journaling. And so we just take it one day at a time. And I don't tell anybody how creation came into being. I offer possibilities, and then they go into meditation and they self-discover what resonates as true for them.
That's cool. And what kind of things do people experience? Like, what are some of the shifts or the growth that people have on this 10-day journey?
And so understanding how creation came into being and how creation is made and what it's made of and how it works with the elements and sacred geometry, the flower of life, you then develop creator consciousness. You know, they talk about like, oh, you create your reality with the power of your thoughts. Okay, well, how? How
Mm.
does that really work? Like, I
Mhm.
want to know energetically, right? What's happening? And how am I really manifesting my reality as it unfolds before my eyes? And when you know how to work with the elements, when you know the energetics of creation and how we are mentally projecting holographic images, we ourselves are a holographic projection of our eternal soul, who stands at the center of our creation and mentally projects all of these holographic fractals of itself into different time and space dimensions. But we can access our eternal soul essence. And so these types of things give us a much more enhanced experience of the reality, and also empowers us as creator beings to create every aspect of our lives in every moment of every day.
That's so cool. So it's like you're saying, like the understanding of how the process works through the metaphysics, and probably working with those symbols and meditations, and the initiations that you offer as part of the package open us up to a unique experience of our connection with creator consciousness.
Absolutely. And I became very fascinated by ancient civilizations like the Mayans and the Egyptians and the Dogon tribes of Africa. And so, what we do is we go there, we go to the Mayan temples, we go to the pyramids at Giza. And along the way, the reader is called an adventurer. Along the way, we talk about the cosmologies of these ancient civilizations, their beliefs. They were so tuned in to the earth and to the cosmos. Their myths and legends are extraordinary. And the Egyptian mystery schools are phenomenal, a phenomenal way to achieve ascension. And so I include all of that in the book as well. So it's a fun adventure to sacred sites around the world, but along the way, you really dive in to what these advanced ancient cultures knew and understood and practiced.
Yeah, it seems like in my study of this kind of thing, and I've studied a lot with a lot of different over the course of my life, a lot of different pathways up the same mountain, and it seems like there's sort of these universal truths that every religion or every spiritual practice or mystery school has been sort of guiding us to the top of that mountain. And this, I love that you have sort of like this 10-day shortcut instead of like slogging up the mountain, like, oh, it's going to take you 5 lifetimes to get there, or maybe 50 lifetimes to get there. There's this quick, and it's very, I think, much in my experience of working with people over the past 30 years, that's actually possible now. In the past, it was really hard. It was like 30 years on the meditation mat, and maybe not even then, right? And now it seems like part of the ascension energy is these quick quantum leaps that we can make, that where we can clean out like all this baggage, all this like mental clearing, emotional clearing. That sounds like that's part of your first book, and this second book gives you sort of the pathway, that quick quantum jump up to the top of the mountain. How cool is that?
So beautifully said, Lisa, and spot on. We both know that with the solar alignments we're experiencing now and the planetary alignments as we move into the age of Aquarius, that the supercharged encoded photons coming through us on solar flares are like raising the vibrational frequency of our environment and also ourselves. And so the veil is thin, my friend, between the third and fifth dimension right now. And we can really take advantage of those ascension energies if we intentionally create and purposefully evolve, right? This is a conscious awareness to intentionally ascend.
Right. So we start maybe with the intention to do so or the decision to do so. And then I know that your teachings here are very sort of multimedia. So you have what's in the book, and then you also have companion meditations and initiations that are more multimedia that go with that, right?
Thank you. Yeah. And so on my website, SuzanneRossWellness.com, you can click on Rise Up Meditations or Wake Up Meditations. But there you'll find the audio version of the meditations because that's much easier to meditate when you can listen to the audio. Also, throughout the book Rise Up, I interview many of my colleagues who've written books about the topics I cover. And then I have the live interview I did with them on my show Lighten Up TV on my internet TV network called SciSpy.tv. Clearly, science and spirituality are merged in my book Rise Up. And so I was also motivated to create an internet TV network with a new genre, Sci-Spy, merging science and spirituality, and created
Cool.
SciSpy.tv.
I love that. That's fantastic. That's amazing. And what is it that people experience on the other end of it? Like, what's it like to really be up there in the fifth dimension?
Walking on cloud nine each and every day as you just live in this higher state of ascended awareness. It's just going out into the world with gratitude, feeling a connection with all that is and with everyone that is, just being in that positive state of compassion and kindness and patience, being the highest version of your best self every day. It draws that miraculous, magical reality to you when you go out in the world radiating love and light. That's what you start to experience. Miracles and magic unfolding every day, abundance flowing in ways that you never thought possible.
That's so beautiful, and I do see it all the time in my own life and in so many the people that I know, my clients, my colleagues, are all experiencing the same thing. I think when we put the work in and we really align, when we let go of those the pain and the wounding and the trauma and all that stuff that's really holding us down, and we align to that higher frequency, this really is a time of miracles. And I think it's such a good message because so many people are so like despairing right now about what it's been a tough year, and we've had some real hardships, and I think that people like you that have this beautiful message of light are really like an incredible healing force in the world right now.
Oh, thank you so much for that. And I am a psychic reader and energy healer. You can go to my website as well and click on sessions. And I offer spiritual journeys in the Red Rocks of Sedona. So you can check that out on my website as well. Come to Sedona and experience the magic of the vortex, the healing miracles of the vortex.
I'm gonna come. It's about time for me to take a winter break out of New England right now because it's gnarly here. But let's see where we can get your book. If we can get a copy of your book up on the screen here and take a look at it too. So, and it's available on Amazon and all those places where people can get it.
Yeah, it's available on my website with the full color illustrations. On Amazon, it's black and white. On my website, you get the full color illustration version.
Cool.
So I just like to point that out. Yes.
Awesome.
I'd also like to just one last thing, invite people to our Sedona Ascension retreat, March 20th through 22nd. Just go to SedonaAscensionRetreats.com and join us during the spring equinox in Sedona.
Well, it sounds beautiful, and I hope everybody does it. Well, thank you so much, Suzanne Ross, for being with us today here on the Miracle of Healing. It was amazing to talk with you and catch a little bit of that beautiful vibe that you have. And we're going to share that out all over the world because I think we all need it a little bit right now.
Thank you so much, Lisa. I super appreciate it. You're so delightful.
Thank you. And thank all of you guys for tuning in today. You can catch us here on the Empower radio station. You can find this video on YouTube. And if you're a podcaster, check out all the podcast outlets for this and other shows from the Miracle of Healing. And if you want to find me, you can at lisacampion.com. I hope you come by and visit me and say hello and check out a lot of free resources and gifts available for empaths, sensitives. That's sort of my gig, training the psychics, healers, and sensitives of the world to fully step into their power, so you all can go out and do the jobs that you're meant to do, because the world needs all the healers it can get. And that's what we're doing here on the Miracle of Healing, right here on Empower Radio.